Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you today with Doctor Strange Damnation #1. And I remember when this series came out, I was very reluctant to initially read it because this is essentially an aftermath book of Secret Empire. And if we look back and think about Secret Empire, from what I remember, that book was essentially almost on the same hatred level as Spider-Man One More Day, because they turned Cap into a Nazi. And it's just, you can bend and kind of break characters to a degree, but not as far as they went with Steve. And I remember people were just so mad at Nick Spencer, me included. So I'm glad that he kind of took a break and came back and gave us this. Speaking of which, before we dive into the book, the credits are in the back, so we got to go over here real quick. This is Nick Spencer and Donnie Cates. Artist is Rod Reyes. Letter is VC Travis Lanham. Here's everyone else working on the book. And then, of course, where is it? Doctor Strange, created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. Now, I've talked positively about this book so much, and going back and finally getting to reread it again after a few years, it still holds up. I'm glad it's not one of those like member berries where you remember it being good, then you come back and read it, you're like, oh, that sucked. That is not the case with this one. So again, as I just said, this is in the aftermath of Secret Empire, when there wasn't, I'll be honest, during this time period, for me, there wasn't a lot of good comic books, at least in Marvel at the time. Everything was just kind of subpar. I mean, we had X-Men Gold, X-Men Blue, X-Men Red. Yeah, they were bad. So anyway, they're having a memorial in Las Vegas because, from what I understand, Las Vegas was completely obliterated. And they're saying, I think I don't know if it's Falcon that's the narrator here, but it says an entire city claimed by fire, wiped clean from the face of the earth. Because we didn't stop it. We weren't strong enough to stop it. In the aftermath, all we could do was mourn and promise we'd never fail them again like that. So here we have Jane Foster. I'm not going to call her Thor. I like her a lot better as Valkyrie. Here is, I miss the original Carol Danvers from back in the day. I miss Ms. Marvel. And then Falcon, T'Challa, and then Hawkeye. And so they're kind of giving her a memorial, saying, it's my oath to you that we'll strive to remain united and vigilant, that we will honor those we lost by protecting the future, even if we can't change the past. And what I like is, don't be such a pessimist, Falcon. I like how Steven comes in with kind of a positive mentality, because a lot of these books during this time were very much not dark in like a good Watchmen way. It was just like dark in, how the hell is this a superhero book? And so I like how Strange here is just like, there's always a good reason to question the limits of what's possible. These people have suffered enough. Please let this work. So from what I understand is during this period, Loki became the Sorcerer Supreme for a while. I didn't care. But anyway, what I like is he says that when he got the power back from Loki, he got a little extra kick. And he goes, we spend so much time fighting some invading threat, some monster with a grudge, each other. Because remember, this was also on the heels of Civil War II, which, in my opinion, also equally sucked. There was no, at least like with the original Civil War, you could see Cap and Tony's side of the argument. In Civil War II, there was so much murkiness between what Carol wanted and what Tony wanted. And just, no, we're not going to go there. So anyway, I like here that Stephen here says, maybe it's time to try something else. And so he touches the ground, and then the artwork here, just look at how vibrant. This very much reminds me of something you'd see like from Bill Sienkiewicz, and I think that's what really turns me on here, is it just gives you something different than your regular kind of comic book. It's very much a painted piece. And just look at how the way when he channels his power with that, you can't tell me that does not look like Legion. And again, just gorgeous how Las Vegas comes back. And I like how Stephen here says, restoration, renewal, resurrection, and the obvious exhaustion on his face. And even though here, what Damnation kind of reminds me of, and I talked about this in the video that I uploaded for social media, is a lot of the times the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And that's exactly what this book is, because here Stephen's elated that people are reunited with their loved ones. But it comes at a cost. With the arrival of someone on Earth that wants to take advantage of what Stephen was trying to do, and maybe did it a little too, I don't want to say haphazardly, but just kind of didn't think things through. And so the main villain, or at least, I hate to say this, but in a sense, you think Mephisto is the main antagonist of this book, and that, again, gets kind of murky, but that's wherein the good storytelling comes from. And so, Mephisto, to me, he's always been wicked, and he could be a little bit of a jester like Loki. If you think back to like the original Infinity Gauntlet comic and how he kind of goaded Thanos into doing what he did. So the way that he's written here reminds me very much of Mark Hamill's Joker, the way he kind of plays with Strange. And it makes sense because, again, good intentions. All these people are back from the dead. We see mobsters here in Vegas. Don't act so surprised, Gary. Can't believe you thought a little thing like dying would cancel out your debt. You sure this is a good idea? You kidding? Right now the cops are busy dealing with all the resurrections. No way they care about some smash and grab. Yeah, and if everything really did come back, that means all the safes are full. And Mephisto's just like, sin. I can't say it hasn't been good to me. And really, once you're sitting on a fortune like this, you're really just watching the interest pile up. And so, the way, like, when people start to sin, since he's essentially has set up shop here in Las Vegas, when people commit acts of adultery, sin, murder, whatever it is, there's a way that their souls are taken. And Stephen wants to make this exchange, or essentially a deal with the devil. Again, not thinking things through. And it, again, comes at a price. And what makes it interesting is, I like the way, even though there are spin-off books to this, they all are, for the most part, really good reads. I mean, you get all the, I call them the street level fighters. You get Blade, Moon Knight, I can't remember her name. Help me out there. But then we get the Order, Man-Thing, and Dr. Voodoo, Iron Fist, and of course the Rider, Ghost Rider. And I believe this one is Johnny Blaze. So guys, Doctor Strange Damnation. I like during this time period when we really needed some fresh ideas, because a lot of people were really, or at least this is how I remember it, and people I talked to, we were really sick in the mouth of Secret Empire, Civil War II, X-Men versus Inhumans. It was just fight after fight, and there wasn't just no fresh blood. It was just like ideas were being recycled. And instead of getting new characters, there was other characters taking up the mantles, and it felt like a very dry time. So this was a welcome addition. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and pick up a copy. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little Sorcerer Supreme bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below, or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.